Gota is an important project. It's an interesting project because this rather interesting character walked into our office and said, I want to do a project in Zimbabwe. And as we all know, Zimbabwe isn't a politically stable country, nor an economically stable country. And so the project took us 9 months to design, and it took us 6 years to build. When you're dealing with an economy of hyperinflation, it essentially means you cannot buy anything. You can't buy a piece of steel, you can't buy a piece of glass. And the challenge was really to understand what we could build, and yet not really wanting to compromise on the vision. And the client was very clear on that. He wanted to push the boundaries, to really bring the building down to its essence. We were really trying to think of how to very lightly touch this rock and place a building and sort of land a building on this rock, and then essentially frame the views and live between this rock and the views.
You've got this incredible foundation that you want to make the most of. That allows you to do certain things like put a certain amount of very concentrated load in a certain amount of small areas, which allowed us in turn to create these big planes which are only supported in 4 points.
We said, what can we get locally and what can we get cheaply so that we don't have to deal with this hyperinflation? So the granite that we used to clad the building is everything that we excavated from the rock, and we essentially reshaped it and clad the building with it. The work that we've been doing in Africa is very much about coming back to basics and thinking of architecture in terms of a building craft rather than just a design craft. The environmental system that we ended up using was a very sophisticated system that used very simple principles, using modern technology to enable these sort of unbelievable structures in the middle of nowhere to function and to become a completely self-sustained environment. What Gota made me realize is that Africa was quite an interesting place to build. The clients and the patronage there was very different. They didn't feel sort of restricted by the difficulties. They really felt empowered by the possibilities.